Energized show, up the Irish.
Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, introduce the guest, man.
Today we have Cage Warriors lightweight sensation and El Presidente of your fighting championships. It's Decky McAleenan. Decky, how you doing, man?
All good, boys. All good. Bit left out. I don't have a pair of these glasses. That's what it is.
Oh, we have to save it for the show. Decky, we will be over watching your fight at Cage Warriors 134 in London, and we will hand deliver you a pair of these glasses. How does that make you feel?
Brilliant. Special.
It's up there with a world title, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
I've been back and forth with the distributor of the glasses. That may sound like it's a really big deal. It's not, but I'm trying to make sure that they arrive on time because that's my one fear for London. I don't mind meeting the guys in the UFC. That's all fine. Like, no, I can do that. It's like I have to show up with the glasses. That's my one concern.
No clothes, nothing. Just a suitcase full of sunglasses. Be perfect.
It's the most important thing, boys.
Absolutely. Decky, how much are you looking forward to getting back in there under the Cage Warriors banner?
Boys, I'm buzzing for it, so I am. It's like, I think it was June last year was the last time I fought. And then just with a few things coming towards the end of the year, it didn't allow me to fight. And like, as I said, I'm fucking buzzing to get back in that cage. Like, this is what I do for a living. This is what I love doing. I love to fight. Like, that's just it. And I haven't done it in near a year now. So, but 2 weeks on Friday, I'll be ready to go.
I don't know if you've given it any thought, Decky, but obviously, you know, Cage Warriors show was on UFC Fight Pass, so obviously there's always going to be an eye of the UFC on it. But with UFC London the next day, there's going to be UFC people in the arena on the night watching Cage Warriors. Will that make any difference to you, or does that get you any more pumped up for the fight?
I don't need any more reason whatsoever to be pumped up for this fight. I made a mistake the last fight, which cost me it. I've been overthinking things. I didn't have the same drive last year and whatever else. I'm back to myself. I'm fucking feeling fresh, refreshed, ready to go again. So if it's me by myself, or if it's all the right people looking at me on the next Cage Warriors, I'll be putting on a show.
Decky, what you just mentioned there, you didn't really feel yourself last year, and now you feel re-energized, excuse the pun. But like, what's the biggest difference been, bud?
Back working on my sort of the mental end of the game. I just sort of was going through the motions last year. Wasn't in the right sort of headspace. Didn't have any respect for any of the fighters whatsoever on the roster. Didn't think any of them could beat me. Didn't think any of them challenged me. Thinking that it was just going to be like stupid stalemates where people just try to survive. Going off the way my fights go is like, you get these fucking great, sorry about my language, boys. You get these strikers that are so good, and then you hit them a dig and see their eyes change and they turn into grapplers. And then I was allowing it to annoy myself and allowing it to like take away from my game, and just like knowing that come the next fight, this is what's going to happen. You know, like, and then as soon as it happens, instead of reacting to the situations, I was letting my head get carried away. You know, like, this is another one of these. This, you know, like, this is happening again. And but now I couldn't carry. As I said, I'm going to put on a show, and I'm going to finish this. Finish whoever you call him, but I can't remember his name. Whenever the fight goes, I'll finish him wherever it goes.
Just looking at your opponent, Dan Collins, he comes out of Great Britain, top team, great gym over there. They have a state-of-the-art facility, brand new. Brad Pickett's doing a great job with them. He's got 5 finishes in his 5 professional fights. Does this make you believe he's going to actually bring the fight to you, and that's what you're looking for?
Yes and no. It's easy to finish studs. So at the end of the day, I think he's one decent one in his record. We have seen plenty of holes in his game. Yes, he's dangerous in areas, don't get me wrong. He's finished 5 people. He's finished 5 other professional fighters. But he's in the big leagues now, and this is where I've sort of earned my stripes. So perfect fight for me.
Yeah, Dan Collins actually makes his debut in the Cage Warriors cage as well. Like, what should he expect from yourself, Decky? Because this is going to be your 8th appearance in the Cage Warriors cage.
Yeah, expecting a bad night. That's what he should be expecting.
Well, I don't actually think he knows what he's getting himself in for, Decky. Will you be bringing over much of a crowd over to London for this one?
There's a squad of us coming, yeah. As always, now that there are no more fighting in empty rooms, there'll be a good squad in your heads heading over.
Yeah.
Obviously, Decky, you're now a promoter. I think your championship's coming up, and I think it's his fourth show. It'll be fourth show.
Third.
Your third show. And has that taken up much of your training time, or has it added anything to your outside the cage game that you didn't have before? Or what have you learned from becoming a promoter from the fight game?
Nothing, boys, really. I'm trying to run this here as a fighter, run the promotion, so that the key thing for me is that the fighters are being looked after. I have stole a load of ideas from Cage Warriors on how to run a show, which means there's no messing about. The fighters are given a rough time to when they're going to be fighting, and 2 shows in now, I think the first show, my main event, was starting 2 minutes before it was scheduled to start, and then the last show started 5 minutes after it was meant to start. So like that's perfect. Like if you're giving boys ideas of when they're going to be fighting, there's no you're fighting next. No, there's a 10-minute break. You're fighting next. There's a 15-minute break that lasts half an hour. There's set breaks, set times. Like I can tell you now what time and what running order of the show, when you're getting a break and when you're not getting a break, give or take 5 or 10 minutes either side of the fight with early stoppages or decisions. Like.
No, I think that's great. I think that's you have the fighter's interest at heart there when you do it that way. I think it's really, really good to see you doing it. We'll get into your championship a bit more in a minute. I just want to touch back on Cage Warriors and the lightweight division in particular. It's the one that's about most up in the air out of all the divisions. Obviously, Joe McAleenan was champion, sort of is still champion in his own right. He's relinquished the belt.
No one's won it yet.
Yeah, then we were supposed to have it was Ben Lacker versus
one of the brothers,
George Hardwick, and then Ben Lacker pulled out, and now we have George Hardwick versus Bilardo. Where do you see yourself in this division, and who else do you see as the major players in this division? Obviously, maybe Mike Figlack's another one who's up there as well.
Yeah, he's on 5 or 6 wins now, is he? He's
coming off the win against Stevie McIntosh.
He is, yeah. He's doing great at the minute, so he is. So it's like, to be honest, I need another. I'm gonna, as I said, we'll get this fight out of the way, finish him in style, and then I'm a fight or 2 away from getting back to where I need to be. But as you said, there's going to be the right eyes looking at this fight, so we'll see what way it goes and see what I can pull out of the bag. I deal with pressure well, so we'll see what way that goes. As the title talk, I haven't a clue, because as I said, Joe's still the champion. No one's won the belt. Then you have Matty Ben Lactar. So how many times I think he's probably lost his chance of fighting for the belt. And I think that's twice he's pulled out of the title fight, is it?
I think one of them he got COVID, so I don't think it was actually his fault per se.
But he still didn't fight.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Yeah,
he might have to go. He might have to go and do one more, I'd say.
Yeah, but then if he has to do, but then that would probably be him and Figlack then would have to fight, because how long can he sit about for? He at this stage he deserves. I don't know why they talk. I think he's Italian fighting Hardwick, is he?
Yeah, to be honest,
they've pulled him out of the air, haven't they?
I'm not gonna lie. I've never heard of him.
No.
So I think he has fought in the UFC before. I know he fought Mark Manson and he fought Joel Alvarez, who recently lost there on the weekend. But I don't actually remember his fights, probably because he was the one who lost them, and that's not a knock on him. I just
you don't really remember the loser.
Yeah,
he is Italian.
Yeah, the only reason that I know him is I was offered to fight against Yazir Balhajar, the French lad, that fella was meant to fight last, and I couldn't take the fight then, obviously, for a couple of different issues. But that's how I knew who he was, and seeing him coming in with the way the lightweight division is at the minute, it's a wee bit nuts seeing him coming in and getting straight into a title shot with the likes of Mike Figlack sitting there, But
I suppose Zadari's another name in there. I know he was the last person to lose the title, but I suppose he's another figure to be reckoned with as well.
Yeah, there's no shame in losing to Joe. Joe's a beast.
Yeah, and I'm still kind of trying to coax Paul Redmond out of retirement for one last run as well. So, like,
Yeah,
it's
because-
actually talking
Yeah,
to him at
because
the last
we had
show.
Graham Bullen on. He announced he's going to do 2 shows at least here in Ireland. So, like, that's something to look forward to, especially for people living here.
Definitely, like you'll see the squad of us over here in London, and there's only going to be 2 Irish boys on the card. So, like, if you get me fighting in Belfast or Dublin, there's going to be a lot of tickets sold by me as well as whoever else you put on the card. Like, I'd say it'd be more trying to scrape tickets together rather than looking people to get rid of them. That sort of way.
Oh,
yeah, I
100%.
definitely think they have to do Belfast as one of the 2 venues. I think when you really look at it, like, no better way to coax Joe a fight camp out of Joe McColgan as well. Bring it over to Belfast. Obviously, Paul Hughes wins against Jordan Vucenic. His next fight might be in the UFC. But he used to say, no, the UFC don't do Belfast and they do Cage Warriors the night before. I think when they are doing these European shows, the UFC, like, Cage Warriors should almost piggyback off the back of them, because I think it's such a fantastic idea that you have Cage Warriors on the night before and then UFC on the following night.
Yeah, you could also have. You could also, if Paul beats Jordan, they could have the trilogy in Belfast as well on that card. You never know.
I'd say the winner of that goes to the UFC, though. Do you not?
Yeah, well, I think that it can always.
It's more we
depend
want to
on
see
what-
Paul on the card.
Yeah, definitely. It can depend on what way it goes down as well. You know what I mean? If their last
It's
fight
tight.
was as close as this one, you know what I mean? The scores are still yet to be settled. Who knows? You know what way it's gonna go down. UFC might say you have to do it again, lads, and the winner's guaranteed a shot in the UFC. So you never know which way they're gonna go.
I don't know. No. It is, but like, as well, you're missing out on Reese. Like, there's another boy.
Yeah.
Get him one fight in Belfast before, like, and if he does well, he could be back in the UFC. Like, do you know, where he could be an off fight
He
or
can
2.
fight for the vacant welterweight title.
Yeah, there's
Him and
There's a
Big
couple-
Figlack could be a great fight.
yeah. Put the 2 Figlacks on in Belfast, fighting for either one of the belts, and see if we can get. Well, no, it's hard. It's so the lightweight division's gone. There's so much going on at the minute, and then especially with the Yanks as well. Do you know, like.
Yeah.
They're going to throw a spanner in the works. John, like, if we're in this much of a mess at our side, and then you have them over there,
Yeah.
God knows what way we're going to end up.
And you know what?
Yeah,
That's
'cause-
the sort of thing about it, because I feel like from the European side, it's such a strange thing to be like, well, how good are the guys from the States who are fighting in Cage Warriors? Because we haven't seen them against the European talent. So therefore, you have that sort of feeling out factor, being like, oh, maybe, there might be a few heavyweights that come over from the US that could be brilliant, because obviously there's a few less heavyweights on the European scene, or light heavyweights as well. But like, when it comes to the lighter guys, the Europeans have shown that they're just as good, if not better, in a lot of cases than the Americans. So I'm dying to see that first amalgamation card, and I think it would be more fitting to bring the European fighters over to the US.
Get us used
I'm
to
gonna
it. Like,
I'm gonna say, give them that adjustment period, and let them have a little holiday afterwards.
yeah.
We'll find out on Friday. Cage Warriors Cali is on this Friday as well for people tuning in on UFC Fight Pass.
See as well. Like, look at the UFC card in London. That's Cage Warriors versus the rest of the world, pretty much, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, I think
it
we're
is.
looking at it, and I think there's 2 fights that don't have Cage Warriors fighters on them out of like 12 or
which
13
is
fights.
crazy. Like,
And then on top of that, also, who knows, some of that might change, and like more people might get called up on short notice or something, that because of the issue with like getting the Russian fighters to the UK.
there's that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, needless to say, everyone's really excited for Cage Warriors 134 in London. Obviously, Decky McAleenan taking on Dan Collins. It's going to be in the Indigo. Ross, is there anything else to say about Cage Warriors, or can we talk a bit about IUR?
I'd actually just like to get Decky's quick predictions, not for his own fight, because obviously he's going to say he's going to win, but maybe for the 2 title fights.
The 2 title fights, I would say the lightweight title fight, I'd be betting on Hardwick. George or Harry, is it? George Hardwick. I'd be betting on him. He's looked well from his came to promotion, so he has. And then Paul and Jordan, flip a coin.
Yeah,
That's why it's unmissable. That's literally why it's unmissable. What a main event.
Yeah, it's a good. It's like it is a good fight. Like, so Yeah, just say your guess as good as mine, boys.
Yeah, in fairness, I'll tell Jordan to his face when I see him. Like, I'm not gonna lie, slightly up for Paul, because obviously we've known him longer and
Yeah.
we've talked more, and he's Irish. But like, at the end of the day, that's no knock on Jordan Vucenic. If he was fighting anyone else, I'd probably be up for him. Like, he seems like such a cool dude. He also, I don't know if he'd be insulted by this, but he reminds me a bit of James Arthur.
It's actually his birthday today as well.
Yeah, shout out.
Jordan's not James Arthur.
It remind me a bit of Andre Fili. We would see the style, Jordan's style, like, and he's good. Like, he is very, very good. But
And the ink.
yeah, looks the part anyway. But he, I said, I'd be just bagging Paul as the Irish connection, but as skill wise and different things like that, it's as close of a fight you're going to get.
Yeah, sure. It wasn't that
as well. So
I was going to say, wasn't that close for no reason. So I think people will be expecting something similar again. Decky, let's get the promoter hat on. Barry,
let's ask the first question. I have the first question. This is going. Decky, how would the promoter Decky McAleenan, like how good? Oh, hold on, how do I put this? You as a fighter, how good would you Would you be an easy to deal with as a promoter? So say if you're you're the fighter and you're the promoter, if you know what I mean.
How would Decky McAleenan deal with Decky McAleenan?
Yeah, exactly.
Boys, I'm easy to deal with, so I want the toughest fights against the best opponents. And any opponent that I've been sent, like, throughout my whole career, amateur and pro, I've said yes to the first person, unless they were a bit shite, and then I've said no. Try to get me someone better. Throughout my whole career, everything, it's, as a promoter now, probably dealing with like the new sort of range of fighters, they're a lot more picky than the older ones. Don't like I sort of can't. I'm not like a new style fighter, and I'm not an old style fighter. I came at like that merging period, in between.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, you need a bloody fighter page before you can actually fight. Like, I didn't come from that sort of era, but social media was kind of a thing, but not really a thing. So nowadays, people want to know more information and who they're fighting and this and that. So it is slightly harder to deal with people. But if every fighter had sort of my mentality, fights would get made straight away. Like, there'd be no messing about.
What your Fighting Championships 3 takes place on April 3rd. Like, what fights on the card are you really looking forward to? And for the fans listening now, like, what fights should they get ready for?
I'd say the main event will be a cracker. Depending on that, that's going to be a big clash of styles there. So it is, between Janderson and Mochin.
That's a pro fight as well.
Yeah, that's a pro fight. That could go either way, but it'd be hard to see that going the distance. Like, obviously I've got like Mochin's like my training partner, so I'm betting on him on that one. But like, Janderson's not an easy fight for anybody. Like, he's a big beast. So
he seems to be taken very serious now. I know he's training his jiu-jitsu very hard. He was over in All Stars training with Hamza and was wrestling, and like he took Andreas Binder to the wire as well. He was a top prospect in the country. So like, and then obviously Marcin is training with herself. You know what I mean? The Team Torres boys are known very well for their jiu-jitsu, but also they have a Nori Muay Thai as well. So it is going to lean itself to be an excellent fight. I do think, obviously Marcin will probably fancy himself a bit more on the ground, and Janderson will fancy himself a bit more on the feet. But it is mixed martial arts. You do have to make your opponent think. So it'll definitely be a banger.
Definitely. And Janderson's got that power. Like, John Watching's got all the skills and everything, and so does Janderson. But that man can hit, like, so it should be good.
Yeah, I think everyone in Ireland's seen that flying knee at this stage.
Yeah.
Is there any amateur fights that people should look out for as well?
Amateur fights. There's the new lightweight title fight. That'll be announced, and I only got it sorted last night. Unfortunately, the champion Max has got an injury, which he needs to look after. So between talking to him and myself, a young lad at not even 20 years of age shouldn't be fighting to run the risk of surgery. So I was sort of pushing him towards. It was his call not to fight, but I was sort of fully agreeing with the idea of him not fighting. Like, I don't want to, especially on my show, I don't want a young lad like himself with all the talent in the world to potentially mess up a career due to like an amateur fight. Like, I know it's an amateur title fight, but really and truthfully, nobody cares about amateur title fights. They look good on paper, they look good with your picture with your belt, but it's amateur at the end of the day. It's all about furthering your career and learning to further your career. So personally, I think it's the right decision what he's doing. But there you go, Lewis Burns fighting Aaron McDonald for the belt, and then the winner will fight Max.
There we go.
That
That's
is
an
an absolute
exclusive.
brilliant fight. It is an exclusive. It's a brilliant fight. Obviously, Lewis Burn coming out of Team Rhino. It's got excellent wrestling pedigree. We saw him there fight recently at the National Championships. He told me off the record, now it's on the record, that he didn't like the featherweight cut anymore. He said he was too big for featherweight, and now he's moving up the lightweight. He thinks it's a better weight class for him. It'll be very interesting to see him there. Aaron McDonald, we've all seen he's got absolutely devastating knockout power. He took a little trip over there to Thailand for a while to get a bit of training in over there as well. And then obviously that jiu-jitsu is coming on leaps and bounds at all times up in Team Torres. So that is an absolute banger of a fight. I can't wait to see who comes out on top there.
Yeah, that'll be good. Hopefully.
Decky, that'll be on pay-per-view as well, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to do a stream because I know everything's open fully and whatever else, and COVID's disappeared now, but with talking to the venue, like, your championships isn't going anywhere. So instead of cramming the venue and putting people at more risk than what's needed just to line my pockets, we're going to go with a smaller crowd and just make sure everything's run 100% perfect. Probably running the show at maybe 3/4, maybe between half and 3/4 of full capacity. But at least that way everyone's sorted. There's enough crowd there, and then we'll just stick the pay-per-view on as well.
Yeah. If you have one spare seat for the two of us, we'll buzz it as well.
Call up if you want to call up. No problem.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So make sure for people who are interested in checking out the IUR Fighting Championships 3 to check out the Instagram. There's going to be a link there as well, and Decky will hook you up. That sort of wraps things up. Decky, is there anything you want to say to the people now that are going to be tuning in to your fight on Friday the 18th of March? What should they expect from Mr. McAleenan?
What you always get, someone is going to come out to fight. John again coming out to finish this fight. I do not know more want a decision than the man in the moon. Everything's going to be on the line. Let's see if he wants to step up and fight the big boys. Let's see what he's got.
Love it.
There you have it, Basmo. Guys, you cannot miss Decky McAleenan fighting at Cage Warriors 134 only on UFC Fight Pass. Decky, thanks a million for joining us on the show. Guys, make sure to head over to Decky's social media, give him a follow, send him a good luck message before he heads off to London. If you are watching the show and you have enjoyed it, which I'm sure you have, 20 minutes on, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always, stay energized.
Energized show, up the Irish. Been sussing you guys a couple of times. I've seen a couple of clips. I think you've done some interviews with Dylan Moran and that I saw. So keep going, keep up the good work, guys.